We've been using the CPS system for about 4 years. We started out with a project called Teaching Math in the 21st Century, and that project was to look at student engagement in the classroom. And with that, we put an interactive board, we put a star panel, we put a projector, and every teacher got a CPS system. And these were all math classes, and one of the things that we wanted to do was look for student deficiencies. So we did an average, a look at a number of tests the first 2 weeks of school and looked at deficiencies that the students had in math using the CPS system. And that's the beauty of the CPS system, is that you get immediate feedback. The teacher can analyze the test, look at the data, and then change instruction based on how the students scored on the test. So when we did that, we set up our tutorial program based on student deficiencies. So for instance, if Johnny was deficient in fractions, then we would set up tutorials. We would send a letter home and say, "Dear Mrs. Jones, Johnny has a deficiency in fractions. For the next 2 weeks, we're going to offer free tutorials based on those fractions." Another thing is they're so easy to use. The teachers immediately can install the software, set it up, and they can ask the students questions. If they're in the middle of a lesson and they just need to know where are my students on this particular lesson, then the students can simply respond and they get immediate feedback, and then they know whether they need to spend more time on that objective or not. Ultimately, I would love to see students tested electronically across the state. Number one, so that we can have immediate feedback. In a time when accountability is so important, it's really important that we get immediate feedback so that we know where we need to go with instruction. And of course, as instruction changes to meet the needs of accountability, and the curriculum is much more standards based, then this is just a much better way to get the kind of feedback that we need to answer the questions of, are we meeting the needs of the students? I was recently appointed as the Deputy Superintendent at the Department of Education in charge of technology for the state. I see that as a wonderful opportunity to change the way schools across the state look at the use of technology in the classroom. Georgia has always been a leader because of the HOPE grant with providing funds for technology in the classroom, but there constantly has been the question of, okay, that's great that you have this equipment, but how does it improve instruction? At Houston County High School, we were able to establish a model that schools across the country could follow because we showed how technology changes instruction across the curriculum. One of the main complaints, first of all, you have teachers that don't have the appropriate technology. They don't have. They get frustrated when equipment doesn't work. They don't really know how to prepare lessons using the technology. They don't understand how it changes. I mean, really, when you look at education, we're still using an instructional model that was created back in the 1800s. And so technology changes that. Students today are multitasking type students. For instance, it's very likely if you see a child at home, they're going to have 5 or 6 IMs going at one time. They're going to have a cell phone in one ear, a regular phone in the other ear. The TV's going to be blaring, the radio's going to be playing, and they're trying to do their algebra homework. So you know, you have students that are used to that kind of stuff. These interactive devices keep students engaged in the classroom, and it's very hard for a student to go to sleep or not be engaged when they have the CPS system in their hand and the teacher is constantly requiring feedback, and it's giving the teacher much more information about what they need to do with instruction. You know, in the old days, if I gave a test, I would have to go back and create an item analysis, which took hours. Now I can have an item analysis with the CPS system in a matter of seconds. If every student in the room has something in their hand and the teacher is constantly requiring responses, then that keeps those students engaged. It also gives the teacher feedback that they need to know at what level are each of the students performing. So it's a wonderful thing just simply because of the speed at which it gives data to the teacher. You know, I don't think that we certainly still want to be able to give long questions, word questions, but the thing about this is that the CPS system is a tool for extracting data from students so that they know how they can alter this instruction. they just feel that it has changed the way they teach considerably because they are able to get immediate feedback. It's a wonderful tool, and of course now you have the textbook companies on board, and so the teachers, it's very easy for them to come up with multiple tests, get multiple responses back from the students, and so it makes their job a whole lot easier and a lot more accurate. What they do is they do a lot of things by department and by subject within the department. So all the Algebra 1 teachers, for instance, get together and they create tests. We also have departmental exams that they can give using the CPS system. Again, immediate feedback, so I can now look at the different teachers within that particular department. Like for instance, I can look at all of the Algebra 1 teachers and see how their class performed immediately, and it kind of gives me an idea of what I need to do with instruction in Algebra 1. I may have a teacher that maybe they're weak in teaching fractions, and what this does is I get immediate feedback on the teacher performance as well. So I get feedback to know whether I need to work with that teacher.